Hi, I'm Mary from Mary's Eclectic Interests. How many of you have gone to the state fair and enjoyed watching all those different product demonstrations? Well, a long time ago, my friends and I used to enjoy going to the state fair and doing that very same thing. One of the demonstrations we enjoyed watching and then purchasing was the Bowmaster bow maker. The demonstrator showed us how easy it would be to make our own custom bows. We were so impressed we purchased our own Bowmaster and some ribbons. Lo and behold, we got home and began making our own professional bows for those different events we were going to. Wedding showers, baby showers, birthdays, you name it, we were going to parties because this was when we were young and everyone was getting married, having children, or celebrating those milestone birthdays starting with age 21. And this was in the 1970s, where the drinking age, yes, was 21 years old. And now, where's my Bowmaster? I found it sitting up in the closet with all those beautiful ribbons that I had purchased when I was young. Then I began to wonder, I don't think you can buy a Bowmaster anymore. You might come across it in your grandmother's basement, at a garage sale, or on the internet. But I don't think I've seen them at the state fair for years. Just a little FYI, or a little piece of trivia, the Bowmaster was made in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I have two instruction manuals. The one on the left is Bows Aplenty with Bowmaster. It was in its 7th printing in 1967 and only had 15 different bow instructions. The instruction book on your right, The Finishing Touch, I found at a book sale. It contains instructions for 35 different bows and was published in 1985. What was unique about the Bowmaster ribbon selection is that they had a decorative lace ribbon. And in the lace portion of the ribbon, there was a different color strand of ribbon woven through it. Here's an example of 3 different ribbons. In the middle is their lace ribbon. Notice the olive green woven through the lace? Notice how both the solid blue and green ribbons match the lace ribbon, creating different color combinations that you can match to your different gift wrapping papers. Therefore, whenever you mix and match, you create a unique and different bow. In the following demonstrations, I'll be using the above ribbons alone or together. As you'll notice, there's a solid silver and a solid blue ribbon, along with a lace ribbon that complements both of those solid colors. Again, I'll be using these colors to make a single bow, a double bow, a triple bow, and a mini bow. The supplies you'll be needing to make your bows are as follows. A Bowmaster ribbon maker, of course, the blue pin holder, bow pins, and a scissors. You'll also notice 2 other items, a quarter and 3 peel and stick squares that you can use to mount your bows onto packages. There are 12 pegs on the Bowmaster. You'll notice the pegs aren't in sequence. So what you're going to do to make your bow is to go from 1 to 2 to 3, etc., all the way up to 12. The instructions say to put your bow pin into the pin holder before putting it in the Bowmaster. But I have a tendency of doing it in reverse. Either way works. It's not anything to be too concerned about. The first thing you're going to do is take your ribbon, finish side up, and wrap the ribbon around 2 fingers 4 times, making a loop about the size of a quarter. Now you understand what the quarter is for. If you have larger hands, you'll have to make the loop smaller than your 2 fingers by using the quarter as your guide. Once your loops are made, press it into the bow pin in a downward position. Now you're going to go around those little white pegs starting at number 1 and ending at 12. The instructions say that you're supposed to have number 1 away from you. Well, unfortunately, the numbers are white on a white background. So I've always done this in reverse because it's easier for me to see the numbers when they're closer to me. In other words, straight down and not across. They also mention you should be going counterclockwise. Well, I think I'm doing that one pretty good. But as you'll notice, the ribbon is really curling on me. The only way you're going to get around this is if you pre-cut your ribbon. The only way I can think of not wasting ribbon is to literally make a bow, take it apart, measure it, and keep those measurements for future bows. We're finished making our bow, so we're going to cut off the excess ribbon. And now we're going to flip over the Bowmaster. We're going to take the scissors and put it in that little bottom hole to release the pin holder. And then you're going to release the pin holder from the actual bow. The next thing to do is separate the center loops. Now those center loops can be a little difficult to pull apart, so you might want to dip your fingers in some water to get a better grip and pull those apart. And now I've finished making a 1 ribbon bow. Next, I'll be demonstrating a 2 ribbon bow. As I mentioned, we're going to be making a 2 ribbon bow, which will be made with a blue lace ribbon and a plain blue ribbon. When you make your center loops, instead of going around your fingers 4 times, you will only be going around your fingers 2 times. And you will still, of course, as you'll notice, get 4 pieces of ribbon. A second difference is that we're going to make a larger bow. And to do that, you're going to put your finger on the outside of the peg and go around both your finger and the peg, and this will give you a larger bow. As you'll notice, the ribbon is really curling, and I'm having a little bit more difficulty getting a double ribbon bow onto the peg. Otherwise, making this bow will be the same as making a single ribbon bow. If you're wondering why I'm making this bow larger, it's because it allows more room for the bow to open out as you pull all the 2 ribbons apart. Here are some additional instructions you might want to take note of, and one is when you are putting the ribbon around, make sure that once you start making a bow, you keep going in the same direction. In other words, don't change directions. And also don't go too tightly around your pegs, because then it might be difficult for you to remove your bow. I've always used the Bowmaster ribbon to make all of my bows. That being said, it does say that you can use other ribbons or other types of ribbon except for plastic ribbon, because that will split. Okay, as you notice, I am pulling the 2 ribbons apart to make the bow full, and then you'll get the plain and the ribbon bow, and you can see how pretty that ends up becoming. And this here, as you can see, is a double ribbon bow. Now we're going to be making a triple ribbon bow, and this will be made with 2 plain ribbons and the laced ribbon. So let's get started on there. There's our 3 colors we're going to use. Again, the silver, the blue lace ribbon, and the plain royal blue color. If you want to, you could highlight all the numbers on your Bowmaster, maybe using some black paint, or nowadays you can use Sharpie. I think I would use a Sharpie, and that would work out quite well. For the triple bow, I'm wrapping it around my 2 fingers twice. This is going to give 6 layers of ribbon in the middle. And as you'll notice, as I'm going around, instead of 1 finger, I am putting 2 fingers. So this is going to be a substantially larger bow. The problem with making a triple bow are those pegs are quite shallow, and it gets to be more and more difficult to get the last of the ribbon on that shallow little peg. And that's where, in the end, I usually will take a piece of thread, and I'll take that thread and I'll wrap it around the peg, and then bring it, there's 2 slats on those square sticky pads, and then you wrap the thread around through those 2 slits, and that gives you a way of attaching it to a gift box via the sticky pads, because there's no way that that is going to puncture through a box. Whereas the other ones, there's enough room left over on the peg that you can force it into a gift box or onto a gift box. And then that way you don't have to use any sticky pads. You can tell there I was really having difficulty getting it on. Watch this one, it's going to get worse. You'll see just struggling there. Whoops, that one popped off. Sometimes I'd get the whole bow made and take it off, and the whole thing would come right off the peg. I don't know if they ever made deeper pegs where they're a little bit larger. I've only seen that one size, but maybe eventually they did. I've never purchased any or gotten any. Okay, there I'm trying to get it out, and then when I get this out and take the peg out, I'll have a little bit more room, and you can see I'm trying to force it onto it. I'm working on it. I don't know. Might have to puncture it with scissors, but let's see. Yeah, get rid of that. There we go. It finally did go on. And now I'm taking apart the 3 different ribbons and trying to alter the plain color with the lace ribbon. And this is going to take a while. And again, if you find it difficult to pull those out, get your fingertips wet with a little bit of water, and they should pull out much easier. There, I'm going a little bit faster here. So you can see how pretty this bow becomes with the multiple layers of ribbon. And another volunteer and I were talking about what happened to the Bowmaster, and we thought, well, maybe as time went on you can get bows quite inexpensive, fancy bows, especially at some of the discount stores. And there is a triple bow. Isn't it pretty? I really like the lace ribbon. This last one we're going to do is called a mini bow, and I'm going to be doing that in silver. So instead of going on the outside of the pegs, we'll be going on the inside of the pegs, or those white pillars, or whatever you want to call them. And again, this time I'm going to have to make it actually smaller than a quarter, because this is going to be a much smaller bow. So I'm going to go 4 times around. And then you can see I'm pulling it so that it's much smaller. It's actually rather, there you go. Because with a smaller bow, you don't want a big center. It has to be the same size of the bow. And then instead of going on the outside, you'll notice I'm going on the inside of all of those spindles. And that's what makes it smaller. It's a little harder to do because you don't have anything to wrap it around, and you can see the peg is going around as I'm going around. I'm not real fond of the silver color for this. I would have rather have done it in a bolder color, but that's what I was working with, and I thought it would be nice to show just what 3 different color ribbons can do. Okay, I'm going to cut this off here. There we go. And of course there isn't, just showing you what the bottom looks like, and then it's on the inside. Take it off of the peg holder. And the only thing that I'm pulling apart is this center ribbon, those 4 pieces in the center. And you notice I'm having a little trouble getting my fingers in there and pulling them out because it is so much smaller. And there it is. So there's the 4 bows. The triple bow, double bow, single bow, and mini bow. This is the triple bow. Okay, this triple bow has just been forced onto this clip as far as it's going to go. There's no way it's going to go through a box. So there's 2 things that you can do. If there was enough room, you could use a little piece of thread, wrap it around the end of this little peg, and then leave enough thread to wrap around this little card. And then you would peel and stick. Take this off and stick it onto your package. Now with a smaller one, let's say a double bow, you could do that. With this one, it's just not going to work. So I would suggest something like this. This is 2-way tape. You can buy it at any craft store. Cut a piece of this off. Take this, put it on the bottom. Then you could just peel and stick. Take this and then stick it onto a package for this particular triple bow. There's also this fun little ribbon cutter. Take a look at each of these slats. You'll notice up here there's a little cutter in there, like a little blade. And what you do is you put a piece of ribbon in there, and they're different widths, of course. So we'd be splitting those ribbons in half, in quarters, and in thirds. So here's a little example. We have this little tiny bow here. It's not very big. It's kind of plain. You can take some of this ribbon. I'll put it down here. I'm not going to, there we go. And it should be squared. You don't want it angled because you're going to go through that. At least one end should be squared. Now let's see if we could get this to work. I think I just want a double. So I'm going to put it through this bottom one. Let's see how it's going to work. Here, you can see it coming out. And there it comes. Now I'm not going to go all the way to the end. I'm going to leave this little end here. And this is why. I'm going to punch this on here. And then you have these 2 little, and you could do more than one, you could do several. And you could just kind of do something like this so it would be a little bit more decorative. And now on the Bowmaster, you can flip this over and you can see this is how we were doing the other ones. We're using this top part. But you can do this portion too, where this goes into the back and you make different kinds of bows. And here's your little peg. And I'm going to show you how to do one of them. This is called a daisy bow. You can make them smaller or larger. And to make this daisy bow, it's really quite simple. All you need is a ruler. Here, let's put this over here. And I know my ruler looks a little rugged, but it is what it is. This is 5 inches long, and you're going to make 12 of these, and I've already measured out 12. And all you need, of course, is the scissors. So let's take this off. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and here's the 12th one. I discovered if I put these all together, I can't get it onto this peg. What you do is you fold them in half because you want the halfway mark, and then you just stick them on here. And I'm going to be doing those in sections. And always put the finished side down. This is the dull side on the top. The finished side is on the bottom. So you're supposed to be able to take these and cut through them, but that's quite a few to cut through. So let's just do sections. And let's do it where I can see what I'm doing, which is up here, and then round them out. Now personally, I would probably do this prior to putting it on here, because look at, sometimes the instructions, they want you to do it one way, but you actually find out it's easier to do it a different way. I'm kind of making a mess, aren't I? All right. So we have this lovely mess here, and I'm going to just leave it. The next thing that you want, the leaves. Now I've already measured this out. These are going to be 6.5 inches. This is 1.5 inches longer than a daisy bow. I only need 3 of these. Again, you're going to find the middles. And here's the middle. We're just going to go like this and like this to make it into a point. Again, we're going to put these on here. Since there's only 3, I should be able to just plop it on. There we go. Now I'm going to take this out, set this over, take this off, and of course I have this lovely little mess here, so just ignore it because it's on velvet and it's not going anywhere. And you just spread these all out. Just like a daisy. Now this would be easier to do, which I discovered. Once you get it punched, if you punch this into your cardboard or your package, it's much easier to spread these. Because right now it does not want me to spread them. Here's these. Oh, I lost one. And these are not exactly, you can tell that I did not do these real even. I did the other one much better because I actually cut them before I put it on there, on the Bowmaster. Okay, here's what it looks like, and then you want to bring this over. So here's your daisy one. Now, I already did, as I put that here. There's the daisy one. So if you were to flatten this out here, it's so much easier once you have this hole in here. Now I discovered this is a really thick board, and I just put some scrapbooking paper on here. I happen to have this one. And I tried to puncture this. And I'm telling you, you do not puncture this. It is not going to go in. I made a little hole. And then I have what we used to use years ago, these little things, and we used to put them in potatoes when you baked them. They were for baked potatoes, which I never use anymore. I have a tendency to use them for everything else but look at how that works in there. It really does get in there and then work it around. So there's other things in your house you can use to puncture things. Then, come on, see how strong I can be. And as I said, this is very thick cardboard. Yeah, I need to make it a little bit larger. Let's get this out here. One, two, three, come on, go. There it goes. So you heard it pop. Now, see how much easier it is to spread these out once they're in the box? They just go really easy. And there's two of the leaves. Where's the other one? There's another one in here. Here it is. And there we go. And this is the daisy bow. So this is the end of our show. And again, here's all the different Bowmaster ribbons that I have. And now it's time to put them away. And you'll notice some of the different colors there are as you look from left to right. And what I used to do is take a little sample of each ribbon and put it on a card so that when I went back to the state fair, I knew for sure which ribbons I had. And then I would also make a list of different color ribbons that I had run out of. And this way I wasn't coming home with duplicate ribbons, especially when you want to experiment with some different colors. And as you'll notice, the pink ones are really quite pretty. They put pink, and on the lace ribbon there's orange in there. So some of the combinations within the lace ribbon is quite interesting. There you can see the pink one. You can see that orange in there. And who would ever think of putting orange and pink together? But they look quite lovely. And at that time in the 70s, your olive green was quite popular. And that was a color I seemed to use a lot of. So again, this is the end of Mary's Eclectic Interests. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next month.